All right, two technical glitches in a row. I was doing that piece about the majors and what happened to me, and I was at the rental car company at the time, and then all my monitors in my studio came on and just washed me out. So I cut it short. Then I came back on, and there was this whole weird thing going on. I posted it, but point is that that job was in my major, and it was loosely related to my, because I had got a business degree, but it wasn't specifically pointed at what I got my major for, but I I needed that piece of paper to get some jobs, and I went on to quit that job, and I got into computer science, and I went to school, and I took computer courses, but none of it was valuable by the time I got out. I mean, they taught us how to, program in BASIC and Fortran. And 4 years after I went to that class, it was Windows or DOS 5.0 or whatever the hell it was, but it wasn't programming in punch cards. And again, if you're college age, and that's who I'm talking to, I mean, go back and look up we used to make the punch card computer stuff. And it was, no one cared. I mean, it was, the Apple Plus was the AI of back then. Oh no, it does everything, and it's got a mouse and whatever. I mean, there's always something taking over. But the thing that I want to ask you is, why do you want to go to college? And the answer to that question is, I want to invest my time and my money into bettering my life further down the road. I want to get a better job than I could otherwise. And that could still hold true, but you have to be the guiding force. You have to be the one that takes advantage of that situation. And if you're going to be successful in life, you need to be constantly learning, and you need to be constantly changing, and you need to be constantly reinventing yourself. And I went into the computer business, and I own my own company, and that was the place that I took my W-2 money, okay, what I got the college degree for, and the job, okay, that is just the new seeds for your new life. Nobody's going to do any good if they just do what they go to college for. I mean, the W-2 income is to build your future self. And that's what I teach. But I'm not talking about what I teach right now, but it is relevant because you're investing your W-2 money. And I made $350,000 a year doing what I was doing. And I worked like 4 hours a day. I owned a used computer shop that turned into a chain of used computer shops. And we did a bunch of charity, and we did repairs, and we worked with, Fortune 500 companies. And, there's a whole story there. But that's where I got the money. And, there were a lot of doctors that had a lot more education, were a lot smarter than me, were certainly more educated than me. They didn't make the money I made. They weren't making $350,000 in 1997. There's a lot of people, engineers, an astronaut. We could look it up because we have ChatGPT now. But there were very few people back in those days that were making the kind of money that I was making. And that ended up being my freedom. That ended up my W-2 and my job. And let's say that you're a biochem major and for some reason, that your rug gets pulled out from under you and they have this, supercomputer that, picks all the chemicals or whatever it does. And it's like, oh no, your job, I think that there's a thing right now with X-ray, people that read X-rays. And that's a high up doctor level thing, but these computers are analyzing these X-rays with pretty good accuracy and they're fast. So does that mean anybody that went and got a medical degree for reading X-ray images is out of luck? No. You just reinvent yourself into something the computer can't do or whatever. But you don't have to be stuck in those roles just because that was your major in college. And I'm going to continue this series and I'm going to teach a couple of classes about it and I'm going to produce some materials to allow people to, get their job of their choice or do something else that's loosely related or whatever it happens to be. And I think you're going to find out that everything's going to be okay. You don't have to just become a teacher in that field. I mean, I know a lot of people that are in the social sciences and they feel buttonholed into, I got a psychology degree, I got a sociology degree, I got a whatever it was, and they have to go into that degree or they have to accept a lower wage or they have to get master's, doctorate, then teacher, and then tenured or whatever and fight that battle. And by that time, you're 45 years old and now you're stuck. Doesn't have to happen. Okay. You do have to, get in the yoke and pull the wagon to make a little bit of money when you're getting started. But you have full choice and you're valuable and you can learn things and you don't have to do what everyone else says because they're not creative enough and they're not, looking for, oh, well, my whole family makes canoes and I have to make canoes and then nobody's doing anything with that. And so the last thing that I can do is teach the last 4 people that are making wooden canoes out of logs and blah, 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 blah. And so that's what I have to do. Not true. Make a surfboard. Holy crap, that guy's famous. Nothing ends. Nothing ends. And just because you make a choice as a college freshman about what you're going to do for the rest of your life, doesn't mean that you have to do that exact thing. It just means you're successful in accomplishing that improvement on your mind and your social skills. You can teach yourself to do something else. You did it once. You graduated. So don't worry about not being able to get a career in your major. Hopefully you do. If you don't, keep looking for those opportunities that make a fit with your personality. If you like to read books, I have a daughter that loves to read and doesn't want to be talking to people that she doesn't know, and doing a podcast show is probably not her idea of a good time, but that's what I do in my retirement. So anyway, I hope this helps. I'm going to continue this series. If there's a profession that you're worried about and you want to ask me about it, I will run a list of what I think people in that profession should look at while they're trying to get a job in their field if they can. So, till then, see you later.